Hi everybody, I'm Roland from Roland and Riches, and there is great improv everywhere. We're going to take a look at an example, we're going to break it down and see what we can learn. Today's video comes from a team from Idaho called Wittypedia. That's Austin, Ian, Karen, Manda, Michael, and Sonya. Now this first clip is about 1 minute and 40 seconds, but the rest are all around 20 seconds. We're going to watch this first clip, and then we're going to talk about what we saw.
Hello, we are Wittypedia, and together we are going to travel down an internet rabbit hole, with everybody here. To kick things off, all I need is a Wikipedia article to start on. Any Wikipedia article you want to start on?
World War II.
World War II. World War II is the first thing that I heard. So World War II is where we're going to start.
Sure, as soon as I stop misspelling it.
Outstanding.
Yeah. World War II, often abbreviated to WWII or WW2, also known as the Second World War, was a global war that lasted from 1939 to 1945. The vast majority of the world's countries, including all the great powers, eventually formed two opposing military alliances, the Allies and the Axis. The world's minor military powers formed into a third organization known as the Armies of the Irrelevant. These armies included Andorra, Spain, Macau, and Sao Tome and Principe. These armies gathered together at a summit in Casablanca shortly after the famous one held by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, mainly to get the leftovers that he didn't eat during his stay in America.
Related article, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's leftovers. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was known for never finishing his dinner.
Okay, first of all, this is a great concept for a show. It's always great to see a team create a new format or take a format they've seen before and make modifications to make it their own. Just because a form might already be out there doesn't mean you can't modify it and do it your way. Second, I really like how this show got started. First, Austin lets the audience know what we're about to see. We're all about to go down an internet rabbit hole. Great. We've all been there, we all know what that's like, and by telling us before getting the suggestion, we now know that this isn't going to be the standard type of show where we get a suggestion and see a bunch of scenes. This is going to be something different. He hammers that in by asking for a Wikipedia entry, and if you haven't made the connection between Wikipedia and their team name Wittypedia, he just made it for you. Great way to start. Then Michael reads part of the real Wikipedia entry for World War II. Yeah, I looked it up. It's the actual one. And when he reads something that sparks his interest, he stops reading and starts improvising, making something up using the Wikipedia entry as a springboard. In this case, about the third organization, the Armies of the Irrelevant. Love it. And when he says something that grabs Manda's interest, she goes in immediately and follows that thread. See, this is key. So much of improv is just giving yourself permission to follow something that you found interesting, just like Manda did. If you start wondering if you're making the right choice or if the audience is going to laugh, then you're judging yourself, and you can't create and judge at the same time. I mean, it's why they tell writers to write and then go back and edit. So, Manda follows FDR's leftovers. Let's see where that goes.
And his leftovers were sought after by the White House staff. In so much and so that when they have been preserved in resin and sold on eBay many years later, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, his leftovers were known often.
Later article. Was the popular battle cry.
And it leads to one of the best things of improv. Oh, okay, I just love when this happens. Manda flubbed a word. I mean, we all do it. It happens. But instead of just letting it go, Austin jumped in and followed the flub. Sometimes we feel the need on stage to kind of sweep this thing under the rug. Like, if we don't acknowledge it, the audience won't notice or remember it. And yeah, you can totally do that. But when you play with it, you end up with gold. Because when you follow something like that, like a flub, you're literally following something unexpected. You were thrown an obstacle by total happenstance, and you incorporated it into your show. And isn't that what improv is supposed to be? And notice how just the act of following got some laughs. That's great. Okay, let's skip ahead a little bit and see the end of Austin's entry.
A kindergarten class that would shout as they rode into battle on their trikes and big wheels were unfortunately defeated by third and fourth graders, and a very unfortunate
WikiHow to defeat a bunch of kindergartners. Maybe you've been attacked by kindergartners who are trying to take over your small town in Oregon. Well, you don't want to stand for that. That's why you need these step-by-step instructions. Step number 1, strike a really bitchin' rad pose. When they see you holding those shovels or shotguns or some other large object, they'll think twice about attacking you. Step number 2, oh boy, right, Charlie brought a gun. He's...
Okay, this is so great. They've added some short form to their show. Such a great way to make your show even a little more unique. And what makes this work so well is that they've changed the backdrop of the game. Instead of it being a slideshow or even an Instagram account, and if you know this game, you might recognize it as one of those, they've incorporated it into the setting of their show, the internet rabbit hole, and turned it into a WikiHow page.
Step number 3. Oh, goodness gracious, he's killed somebody.
Related article, Uncomfortable Situations. Uncomfortable Situations is a documentary of my life.
Okay, this I love. No one on stage ever said the phrase uncomfortable situation, but Manda saw the dead person and saw Michael going, oh goodness, and thought, well, this is clearly an uncomfortable situation, and went with that. We're often taught to give specifics in improv, to go from the general to the specific, but the reverse is also as strong. Manda took these specifics and extrapolated what general concept they belong to, and to her, it was uncomfortable situations. What a great way to pivot to something new and show a different facet of the show. It also has the added bonus of making the audience have to make that connection on their own. They go, why did we look at the dead person and then, oh yeah, sure, it's an uncomfortable situation. I get it. And that is always fun for the audience, as long as the gap isn't too big.
Uncomfortable Situations is a documentary of my life. It started out in high school and it just hasn't stopped.
Discussion forum.
Charlotte, get off the freaking forum!
Seriously, Charlotte, this is not an opportunity for you to just come out here and make it all about you.
This is open source for everyone!
Everyone, Charlotte!
Damn, this is great. Okay, so this team does a lot of different things in this show, and I want to give them props for taking the idea of things we do on the internet and incorporating them into a themed show. I mean, that's just great. But what I really specifically want to point out here is how they followed each other's energy and attitude. When they came on stage to do the discussion forum, I doubt that they knew exactly what type of discussion it was going to be. I mean, we didn't know what type of tone it was going to have, whether they were going to be sympathetic or, in this case, angry. But when Karen sets the tone with the angry comment, watch how Austin jumps in and matches her tone and even heightens it.
Charlotte, get off the freaking forum!
Seriously, Charlotte, this is not an opportunity for you to just come out here and make it all about you.
This is open source for everyone!
Everyone, Charlotte!
Jeez!
And that last line isn't even original. It's just a heightened version of Karen's yelling everyone. Matching what your team is already giving you in terms of tone, it's another version of yes and. It's like handing off a baton in a relay race. The first person running is holding that baton. You grab that baton and you take it. You don't go in a different direction. And that is my analogy of the day. Okay, let's take a look at a few other things that this team does.
Related article, the Me Too movement. #MeToo occurred in 2017, where several women came forward and accused Harvey Weinstein of sexual misconduct. As this
Disambiguation, Meet Ooh movement. Ooh gone.
disambiguation, Meet Moo movement. Mascot.
Click for video.
Well,
We gotta do something about this, you
We
guys!
love you, Moo! We love you!
But if I had the opportunity to live there, I would definitely do it. Primarily because there are lots of swords.
Google search. Things you would do if you had the opportunity.
Unfortunately,
list article. List of things that are a total waste of time and money and hopes and dreams.
Tinder search. Someone who's loaded.
Opposite.
Alexa, what degree should I get?
Wow, this is such a great forum. They've really taken different elements of their theme and incorporated as many as they could. When you're doing something like this and taking a genre, in this case a Wittypedia page, ask yourself what are the different types of things that we see within the context of the genre, and how can you incorporate them and play with them? Because the audience will have some expectations when they know what genre you're doing, and they're going to have fun catching them and seeing how you play with them. Like a bunch of movies have done. They've taken the tropes and played with them. For example, if you're a horror film fan, go watch Joss Whedon's Cabin in the Woods. If you like rom-coms, check out Rebel Wilson's Isn't It Romantic? Or if you like Disney, watch Amy Adams in Enchanted. In all these movies, they know the tropes well and give the audience those expectations, but with a playful twist. And we're seeing Wittypedia do that here with Wikipedia and the internet. And if you're doing a genre show, ask yourself, what are the tropes, the goalposts, the landmarks in that genre, and how can you play with them? Okay, let's do a little recap. If something sparks your interest, follow it. Remember, if you found it interesting, chances are the audience did too. And this is just as relevant in scenes as it is in Wittypedia's format. If your partner says or does something in a scene that you find interesting, follow that thread. Have an emotional reaction. Respond to it. And while we're at it, don't judge yourself. Give yourself permission to follow it. There's no need to judge it. Just play and have fun. The scene and the show will work itself out.
His leftovers were none often.
Later article.
If a mistake happens, play with it. And please notice, mistake is in quotation marks. Look, we're all making this stuff up. There are no scripts. And so it's impossible to make a mistake when there's nothing for you to adhere to. But more importantly, these so-called mistakes or flubs are a chance for you in the audience to have a lot of fun. Think of these moments as the little piece of sand that gets into an oyster. The oyster deals with it by secreting something, and after a while, bam, we've got a pearl. These mistakes are sand pieces that you get to play with. Have fun, play with them, see where they go. These are unexpected pearls.
Related article, uncomfortable situations.
We're often taught to go from general to specific, but remember you can also go in the opposite direction. In this case, we saw Manda come up with the great uncomfortable situation for what we were seeing. This is an added tool in your improv tool belt.
Open source for everyone.
Everyone!
Match your teammates' attitude or energy. This is such a great way to yes and. It puts you on the same page as your teammate, uses what they've given you, and adds on to it. I can't think of a better way to spend your time on stage. Remember, grab the baton and take it.
List article.
Tinder search. Alexa, what degree should I get?
Doing genre? Learn the tropes. Wittypedia took many different things that we do on the internet and incorporated it into their show. These are all things we're going to recognize and enjoy seeing played out and played with. So if you're doing a genre show, learn what specific tropes belong to your genre. Now that doesn't mean that every time you do a show you're going to use them all, but the more of those that you have prepared, the more you can just focus on playing and having fun. You'll no longer be worried about the structure because you'll know the goalposts you might want to hit.
You don't want to be like me. Living my life, just waiting by the bus, hoping to meet somebody.
And that's our recap for this show. I want to thank Wittypedia. That's Austin, Ian, Karen, Manda, Michael, and Sonya. You can find Wittypedia's information below, as well as the link to their original show so you can watch it in its entirety. I recommend it. And if you're on a team and you've got a show that you want to share, my email is also below. Just go ahead and email and let me know. There's great improv everywhere, and I would love to show the world how great your improv is. Thanks, everybody. Bye.